でストップ。まさしく1点に泣いたわけであります。アンドレが沈んでサックスにあった。どうしたおっとバックドロップ。手を離して1億円のベルトをバジルだった。
Tonight we have a chance to say, yeah, you're right. We're too extreme. We're too wild. We're too out of control. We're too full of our own shit. Or we have a chance to say, hey, fuck you, you're wrong. Fuck you, we're right. Because you have all made it to the dance. Because believe me, this is the dance. Start the show.
Ooh, you're back with Wrestling with Weed, the podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell for anything new in professional wrestling or wrestling with weed. So AEW had their blood and guts this Wednesday. And just got off of me talking about in our last video how good how good AEW or WWE Raw was. You know, like it's probably been the best Raw since the new Netflix era. You know, it was a non-stop action Raw. You got Cena winning the belt and a bunch of other stuff happening in between, but everything felt like it meant something. And then here comes AEW with blood and guts. And just, of course, it's a gimmick night. You know, you got the War Games cage. You could call it blood and guts. You could call it War Games. You could call it whatever you want. But at the end of the day, we all know what type of match it is. You know what I'm saying? Started in WCW in the AWA or the AW or the NWA days. And it's War Games. Basically, is what it is, you know? And they had the first ever girl blood and guts War Games fucking for AEW. And let me tell you something about, like, I see WWE does Hell in a Cell matches. It does the War Game matches. And they got one coming up for Survivor Series. So maybe that's why blood and guts happens at this time of year. But it was like, WWE's not doing what AEW was doing last night. Or, I'm sorry, not last night, but Wednesday night. WWE is not doing that. And that is like, this is, to me, is the opportunity for AEW to like solidify themselves once again as the number 2, because they're never going to be the number 1 company, but they'll always be runner-up. They'll always be a strong number 2. And maybe one day they'll be able to say, hey, we could compete for that number 1 spot of professional wrestling in the world, not just in the USA. So it's like that women's match. If you guys have not seen Blood and Guts from this Wednesday, the women's match or the men's match, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? 1 minute into the fucking match, Sky Blue's busted open. And I'm talking about she's busted open and leaking. You know what I'm saying? And all the women in this match deserve a round of applause and a standing ovation because they all put their careers on the line in this match, going through tables, fucking using barbed wire bats, fucking whooping people, fucking thumbtacks, glass, tables, everything, you know what I mean? And they lived up to the blood and guts, you know? Like, when you hear blood and guts, you think, hey, man, there's going to be some crazy shit. And with the women's match, they did not disappoint. I might say that the women's match was a little bit better than the men's match, you know? But it's kind of hard because the whole night was awesome. You had the blood and guts, then you had fucking Hobbs, and you had a bunch of matches in between. I think it was like 2 matches, but at the same time, like, everything was clicking. One after another, one segment after another segment, you know, it wasn't no stalling in between. But yeah, like, it just kept moving and going along. And then when the main event came out, and it was I guess Hangman Page and Samoa Joe, he's getting another title shot. I think he lost the last match, or he came out, or I forgot what it was. But all I know, Samoa Joe has another title match for the AEW World Champion, and he's not gonna win. We all know that because they got the belt on Hangman Page, a homegrown talent, and they're gonna run with him as far as they can. You know, he's their wannabe Stone Cold, you could say. You know what I mean? But it's like, Blood and Guts was awesome. The men's match was awesome. Fucking Moxley taps out to O'Reilly's ankle lock, and that's Moxley losing on 2 of the more televised matches. Like, he lost it at the pay-per-view, and now he lost it at Blood and Guts. It's sort of their pay-per-view too. It's sort of a pay-per-view, but a non-pay-per-view, I guess. You know what I mean? It's pay-per-view worth matches, but he's giving you 2 for free on TNT or TBS or wherever it's airing at right now. WWE got their Blood and Guts or their War Games match coming up at Survivor Series. We'll see how that pans out. You know what I mean? But it's not going to live up to this AEW shit, because they after throwing this guy through a flaming table and he was still on fire rolling around. Like, you don't expect to see that on national TV. You know what I mean? You expect to see that on the indies, like, which we see at these death matches in the indies and stuff like that. But to see it on national TV is a whole other... Whew, that shit was awesome. I give it to AEW. They put on a show and they give you your money's worth. That's one thing about AEW. If it's $100 to get in, best believe that they're gonna earn that $100 from you by putting on a great fucking show. Storylines may not all be there, but the effort and shit, the sacrifice of their bodies to entertain the fans at AEW, shit. Not saying that WWE wrestlers don't do the same, but AEW, you can see they're trying a little bit harder, because there's not somebody there consistently telling, hey, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. You know what I mean? It's not a publicly traded company, so there's only one person to answer to, and that's Tony Khan. So it was pretty good. And another note, speaking of WWE, now they let Killer Kross go and his wife, I forgot his wife's name, forgive me, but they released him and his wife. And do you guys think that they released him and his wife because they already had plans for Malachi Black or Aleister Black, what they call him in AEW, and for Zelina to Zelina, or I don't know how these, if it's C or Z or whatever, S, but for her and him to become a group, sort of what Killer Kross and his wife was doing, and now they're starting to push them into the world title match, which, you know, he's not gonna win because Cody's not losing the belt anytime soon. But do you think they pushed out Killer Kross because they already had plans on making them that next creepy, like, demon couple? You know what I'm saying? And if that's true, you know, I fuck with Aleister Black. He did really good in AEW, but to me, Killer Kross is a superstar. Like Aleister Black, Malachi Black, or whatever they're calling him in AEW, he is a star. But I feel like the potential that Killer Kross and his wife could have got to was way higher. Like, they have a higher ceiling, I could say, than Aleister Black does. You know, I think, in my opinion, I might be wrong. If you feel differently, put it in the comments. But I just feel like Killer Kross, he's gonna be a star. And maybe they eventually bring him back to WWE, or he goes to AEW and gets that money and becomes a great star and a big star there, and then eventually comes back. But only time will tell. So we'll see what's happening, you know. And we said it before, we said it once, we'll say it again. It's a great time to be a pro wrestling fan, because you got so many options, so much wrestling to consume, and it's all good on his own level. You know what I mean? So, we gone. Wrestling with Weed, the podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Anything you want me to discuss, put it in the comments, and we'll for sure get to it. Hopefully my next podcast is with Broski and everybody. Maybe later tonight. Maybe we'll post it tomorrow. But yeah, shit, we gone. Wrestling with Weed.